Well, good evening. It is 25 past 5 p.m. and I've just come out for a very impromptu sunset session. In fact, I'm a bit worried that there's not even going to be any colour now. I came out because the clouds were looking really good, and I thought that it was going to be a good sunset, and so I'm trying to find a location that's really good for sunset. So where I live, lots of great sunrise locations because it's all sort of seascape, but harder to find a sunset location that I'm really stoked with. But I've found this thing, I don't know, I'd shot down this way before. I shot this old tree called the salamander tree, and down here are all these sort of mangroves and gnarly looking trees. If you check it out here, look at it all. And the sun sort of sets over that way. So I'm hoping for some colour. Now there was a little bit of colour on the horizon as it was starting to set, but that is all gone. I better be careful where I walk because I don't want to put footprints all through my scene. Because the tide normally comes up here, so she's a bit sloshy, and it's going to be really hard to put the camera down anywhere if I decide to shoot here. But it's quite a magnificent sort of a scene, really. Oh, it's very sloshy and yucky. But yeah, I've got my waterproof sort of hiking shoes on, and I'm just looking for a spot where I can shoot through these gnarly trees. In fact, I might just go around a bit further and see if I can find a good spot. But she's pretty unique location, that's for sure. Very, very unique. All right, gonna do some tree jumping here. Oh, crikey. All right. So I think I might have found a spot. So let's have a look down here, see what we can find. Oh, even this tree right here. See, sometimes there's just one gem, isn't there? That's all you need is one gem. I'll show you. Yeah, I like that. There we go. That one just there. I'm thinking just that one gem. If the sky goes off, I can see a little bit of colour way over there. But this is this will be our close foreground. We've got the lines in the sand. I don't know if you can see those lines all leading the eye into the scene. And I reckon if we get here somewhere, this is a nice gnarly tree. If we get some nice colour in the sky, this will work really well. So I think what I'll do is I'm going to set up right here, and at least the ground's a bit dry here. I can at least put my camera bag down and feel like it's not going to get full of salty water. And I'm just trying to get rid of the bugs off me. I've put some spray on, but I think I'm still getting something. So that colour is going to really burst in about 15 minutes. So I'll get set up here and then I'll talk you through what I'm doing. All right, let's get ourselves set up. Always cautious when I set up about getting my own footprints in my composition. So I'm always quite careful. Yeah. Trying to work out the best height. What a beautiful spot. So I've got this composition and then I've got another one over there. So if the sun goes off, yeah, this is a nice spot. I'm thinking I might stay a bit lower, and the reason for that is because over in the distance there's some trees, and those trees are sort of gonna stop the separation between my foreground and that sky. So I think by doing this I'll be better off keeping it lower. Alright, the colour is starting to pop, only just. Yep, that is going to work pretty nice, I reckon. I have to go a bit higher, I think. I think I'll do it like that. Alright, just getting my composition sorted now. I won't use any filters, because if you use filters, the biggest challenge you've got when you use filters is that you'll darken your foreground as well, and when the light's coming towards you, it's already going to be shadowy. Wow, the sky's just starting to colour up. We're about 10 minutes away from sunset. So I'm just setting up at the moment, F14, ISO 16, and I've used my firmware checklist. Now, by the way, if you want to get a free copy of my my photography setup checklist for for landscape photography, head to On3Legs, that's with the number 3, so on3legs.com/checklist, and you can get a copy of my checklist for free. For a limited time I've got it for free. I've just created it, and it takes you through the acronym firmware, and I won't go through that now exactly what that is, but I've just done that so I can make sure that I'm ready to shoot. So I'm at ISO 64 f14. It's giving me 1/3 of a second. Let's turn my remote is definitely on, and let's just do the focus. I like to just quickly autofocus using the touch focus on the touch screen with the D850, and then I just like to take a test shot and see what's happening. Now I'm at 0 exposure value right now, and I've already got a little bit of highlight blowing out, so I'm going to go to -1. Just try that. The colour is really starting to take off. All right, I need my glasses. One of the things that really should be part of my checklist now is, have I got my short lookers on? Can't see too well with that. All right, come over here and see what we're up to. Okay, so we're all set up, and the colour is really starting to come now. I'm hoping that the colour in the sky takes off, because that's really what I want from here. It's starting to, and I'm getting blown highlights now, so I'm going to have to drop my exposure value down to, I'm going to say 2, which sounds extreme, but I'm going to zoom into 24. I'm going to have to raise this camera up, I think, to get all of my foreground in the way I want. So I'm going to have to raise the legs up a little bit. That colour is really going off, which is a good sign, which means that when the sunset actually happens, we should get nice colour on the clouds that are up a bit higher. All right, yeah, that's better. I was forced to do that because the tree is so tall, and I want to zoom in a bit. Beautiful. All right, so I'm just making sure my camera's level, getting a really nice composition. And if you've got a big sensor like the D850 has, by the way, don't worry about getting it perfectly zoomed in. I always go a little bit wider. You can always just crop a little bit off if you need to. You know what I mean? Alrighty, how good's that? So it's quite high now, as you can see, compared to what it was. Let's just see what's going on. We're getting a lot of blown highlights, even at -2 at the moment. So until that sun goes down, and that's what we're really hoping for, that's the gamble now, is we're waiting for that sun to dip down, and until it does, we're really not going to know what we've got. But we're hoping the colour from the sun will definitely, you can see there where that bright bit there is, that is really blowing out big time at the moment, even at -2. And unless I shoot HDR, it'll be very hard to grab that. So what I'm hoping is when that drops down below the horizon, the colour will explode up in the clouds and we'll get an amazing shot. This tree here, I'll show you my composition actually. Let me walk you through that. If I take you off the tripod quickly. Okay, and just show you the back of the camera is probably the best place to start. Let me get that off of there. So you can sort of see that tree there. And so just with your composition, as much as rule of thirds is something that, I don't always worry too much about the rules. It just is pleasing to the eye, as you can see there. The tree sort of on the right. The bottom branch, although it's coming out to the left here, sort of resolves the image and balances. It gives you a bit of a leading line, as does that branch. So we'll just see what happens. I'll pop you back on here and we'll see what happens. Quite exciting. The sun is really, the colours, I think it's going to burst. So we're about 5 minutes away from sunset. The colour right now is still very localised on the horizon and blowing out at -2. So I do just need to patiently wait until it is where I need it to be. So yeah, as I said, I've used my firmware acronym checklist to quickly set things up because I didn't expect to be out here shooting today. But to give you a quick rundown, I'm in aperture priority f14 right now, ISO 64. It's giving me 1/6 of a second. I always let the camera just work the shutter speed out, although I do have -2 dialed in with the exposure compensation right now just because it's so bright. I am trying to get the the exposure so I can get a photo, but it's just going to blow the highlights out right now until that sun dips down just that little bit more. But -2 will be probably that's the max I like to go down. So that's, once I start getting no blown highlights, I'll start taking more photos. I've got a composition that I'm pretty happy with at the moment. Using the rule of thirds, sort of got my main subject on the crosshairs, if you like. Horizon is about a third of the way up in this because I think the sky is going to be is magic, although who knows, hopefully the sky, oh, it's starting to colour up now. So I think the sky is going to be, you know, the hero of this shot, although the tree is lovely. Yeah, so we're just waiting now. It's just a waiting game. Getting there, definitely getting there. So I know you can probably see that amazing colour starting to happen. It still hasn't set yet. We've got a few more minutes. I'm going to shoot here a couple of shots and then we're going to run over there. So I'm going to get my backpack on ready. And the reason for that is because right now I want to get this composition with this tree, and if I go across there I'm going to put footprints and it's just going to ruin it. So I'll get this shot first. If the colours go off the way I think it's going to, we're going to run across there and find another composition. I haven't picked it yet, but in all of those gnarly trees there we'll find one. But I want to try and get the reflection of the sunset in the water that's running through the sand there, so I need to be ready. So I'm going to whack the backpack on and that way we'll be ready. Just checking this now. Yep, definitely getting closer. I'm always excited by these moments, you know, like that colour is starting to really go off. It's that anticipation of wondering, will the colour hit the sky or not? Just anticipating it. I'm so anxious, anxiously waiting. How are we going for time? About 2 minutes till sunset. Don't know why I'm whispering. Don't want to upset the sunset gods. We'll take a photo, just see how it's going. It's still, oh boy, still way too blown out. I'm tempted to put a filter on, tempted to, but there's no way I'm going to be able to shoot with a filter on, no way. All it's going to do is, it's just going to make it too dark everywhere else. So we're not going to use a filter, we're just going to be patient and we're going to wait. Boy, oh boy, it's nerve-wracking. Actually, I don't know how well you can see this, but even over here, the back over here, those clouds up above me over here are all starting to colour up. How are we going for time? Have a look. I reckon it's going to be one of those sunsets that's going to give after the sunset, which is typically, you know, what happens. So it's going to get dark, but it's going to get, man, it's going to get colourful. Fingers crossed. Well, you can definitely see that colour over there now. I've just changed the exposure on this video camera a little bit just so you can see the colour. So the colours are really bouncing off the clouds over there behind me now, which is great. And you can also see, if I flip the camera around, how much colour there is on the horizon, but it's not, you know, stretching up into the sky, which is meaning I think I'm going to have to just run forward and try and get the colour in that water as my foreground rather than try and persist with this tree. So we're going to move. And sometimes this is what you've got to do. You've got to think on your feet. So I think to really get it, well, that looks all right, doesn't it? I might just take a couple more before I move and we'll just see what happens. Oh, look, there's a pelican heading over. How cool. Beautiful scene, eh? How good is that? All right, well, I said I was going to move, but I think we're starting to get the colour I expected in the sky. So we're just going to hang here for a bit longer. So I'm still getting a bit of blown highlights. And I'm at -3 and I'm getting blown highlights. Crazy. Wow. So I'm just sort of bracketing because I think if I'm gonna get this shot, I'm gonna have to HDR it. So I just did -5. I'll do -3. I'm gonna do -1. And I'm going to do 1, and just that'll allow me to do some HDR. So I've taken 4 shots. If you don't know what HDR is, it's high dynamic range photography. I can blend the 4 of them together, and I think I've captured all the detail there. It's quite a tricky thing to do, but in this scenario, it's going to work just beautifully. So I'm pretty happy with that. I should have my bracketing set up, but I don't think I do. So, oh wow, the sky's going off again. Yeah, this is just getting ridiculously exciting. So I'm just going to keep bracketing, I think, because it's easy. I can just do it manually. I'll just do a few sets of bracketed photos. So just so you know what I'm doing a -5 EV, a -3, a -1 and a +1. So I'm getting 4 shots, 2 exposure values apart for each one. And it's allowing me to just capture all of the colour, all of the light. Even at -5, this is how ridiculous this is, even at -5, there is, oh my God, yeah, I think it's time to move. At -5, there is still blown highlights. So that is ridiculous. All right, we're gonna move because I want to get another composition, I think. Boy, what do I do? What do I do? Do I move? Do I stay? Yep, let's move, and I'll try not to put footprints here. Super risky thing to do, to move at that particular point in time, but I really felt like if I wanted to get, yeah, and I've bummed myself out here because I haven't got a good composition at all. Camera's too high, I think. All right, I'm gonna have to drop the camera down. The colour's disappearing really fast. So this is one of the challenges, I guess, with something like this, is that I'm now working against the clock. Okay, beautiful. I want to go, what am I going to capture here? I need to get in front of that one there. I'm just trying to find something now. This is just so gnarly, this spot. Okay, let's just make sure it's level. Okay, now let's get the auto focus on. Let's focus. Focusing sort of about a third of the way in. Oh, please work. That's a really long exposure. What have I got it on still? I'd say I've still got it on one of the plus exposures, so it's taking too long. No, something's happened. So I'm just going to switch that off and try again. What have I got it on? Oh no, I'm at +1 now, that's why. So I'm just going to get a -2. The colour's disappearing. Now, not all is lost. Sometimes what happens is afterwards the colour will come back. I'm just going to try this on bracketing and see what happens, because I haven't done it with this for a while. I don't normally bracket with this, so I think I've got something else programmed into my bracket, but I haven't used for a while. So I'm not going to tempt fate. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to keep taking shots at different exposure values. So that one was at -2. Yeah, so let's go back down to -5. You'll see in the final image why this is so important. So we've got -5, -3, we'll go -1. Wow. You can see it's taking a while now, -1. And let's do +1, which will take 20 seconds. So we just need to be super patient and can't move. We're on really soft sand. It's a bit wet and spongy. If I move, I'm going to move the camera. So I just need to stay still. Come on. Now, what I'm hoping for, I've done my best, right? I've done my absolute best that I could with this scene today. My absolute best. That's gnarly. I'll just quickly show you that. But so now let's just wait. We'll just hang in there and we'll just see if after sunset colours hit the clouds. Because if we can get some colour on the clouds, then I'll be really happy. Or I'll be happier. Oh boy! Gotta love the adrenaline of landscape photography when you're really fighting the time, like against the clock, I guess, for the colour. Love it. So there's the composition I've currently got. You can sort of see this gnarly stuff here. I'm just waiting in hope. I don't think that's going to colour up now, but let's just wait in hope. Whilst I'm here, what I'll do is I'll just talk you through the HDR side, right? So every camera has a setting for bracketing, right? If you've ever seen the BKT, that's bracketing. I'm just manually doing it, which is, you know, what we used to do in the old days with film cameras. So I don't know if you can see, I'm holding down on my top here, there's a button for my exposure comp, and then that number that appears just here, when I press that button down, that's my exposure comp. So you can see it goes into the minus. So I was shooting at -5, which is ridiculously dark, right? So if I do that, you see it's about half a second. If I do that and then show you the image, you'll see it's super dark, but it's just getting that color up there. And then what I'll do is I'll go to -3. So I'll do that now, and I'll take that, and you'll see that -3, you'll see we'll get a bit more detail in the shot. But I can already see that we've got some flashing highlights there, right? So we've got a bit more detail. That might actually be usable, but you'd probably get a bit of noise out of it. So then I'll take another one. I'm going to go to -1, and you'll see that at -1 it's now 8 seconds. So it's just letting more light in each time I do it. And that way we can then merge them all together to get a HDR image at the end. So if I show you that one, you'll see that there's definitely flashing highlights there. You can see that flashing, but you can see a lot more detail. And just to finish it off, I'm going to do a +1, which is, boy oh boy, 30 seconds. So I'm not going to bore you watching all of that, but you get the picture. And I'll show you what the finished images look like when you're watching back the video. Well, how exciting was that? I love a good sunset where it's just go, 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 go. I really think that, I just think it's part of what I love about doing sunrise and sunset photography, is that not knowing what you're going to get or how long the colour's going to stick around for. And I'm always disappointed if I'm at home and I see the colour go off. I think, oh, I should have been out there. Anyway, today was great. No idea what the photos look like until we get them back. I was forced to do HDR today. So, you know, it's one of those instances where HDR is required. As much as some people loathe HDR, I really love it as a technique in a case where you need it. You know, if you need it, you need it. It's a bit like, you know, knowing when you need a particular type of drill or a hammer or whatever. Sometimes you just need a particular technique or tool to get the result that you need. So don't be afraid to dive deep into something like HDR if it's what you need to do. Your camera's capable of it. Just do the bracketing manually like I did. If not, there's plenty of tutorials on how to set your camera up on YouTube on how to do automatic bracketing with your camera. They all do it. Anyway, great shoot, really loved it, and can't wait to see the images on the computer screen, because I think the colour was just so intense. It wasn't hugely wide across the scene, but it was bloody intense. So man, I can't wait to get it on the computer. Thanks for joining me. I hope you enjoyed it. Why don't you get out there and take some photos. Until next time, see ya.